You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, the noise begins. A tidal wave of anxieties about the day ahead, lingering regrets from yesterday, a frantic checklist of tasks, worries, and obligations. Your mind, this incredible instrument capable of composing symphonies and unlocking the secrets of the universe, feels more like a battlefield. Thoughts fire off like stray bullets. Emotions ambush you without warning. You are constantly reacting, scrambling, putting out one mental fire after another, living in a state of perpetual, low-grade chaos. By the end of the day, you're not just physically tired. You are mentally drained. You've been busy, yes. But have you been effective? You've been thinking, certainly. But have you been in control of your thoughts? We are raised in a world that prides itself on education. From our earliest days, we are taught what to think. We learn the periodic table, the dates of historical battles, the structure of a sonnet, and the formulas of calculus. We are filled, stuffed, and overflowing with information. Yet, in all those years of schooling, in all those classrooms and lecture halls, has anyone ever truly taught you how to think? Did anyone ever hand you the instruction manual for your own mind? Did they teach you how to separate a raw event from the story you tell yourself about it? Did they teach you how to filter your concerns, focusing your precious energy only on what you can control? Did they teach you how to prepare for adversity, not with fear, but with strategy, so that when the storms of life arrive, you are not broken by them, but fortified? Did they teach you how to zoom out and see your troubles from the grand perspective of the cosmos, to understand their true, infinitesimal scale? They didn't. This is the great oversight of our modern world. We are given the most powerful tool in the known universe, the human mind, with no training in how to wield it. We are left to navigate the complexity of life with an untamed, reactive, and often self-sabotaging inner world. But what if I told you that such a manual exists? What if I told you that for over 2 millennia, a school of philosophy has been dedicated to this single, profound purpose, to train the mind, to cultivate inner order, and to achieve a state of unshakable tranquility, not by changing the world outside, but by mastering the world within. This is the promise of Stoicism. It's a philosophy not for the library, but for the battlefield of life. It was practiced by a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, as he led his legions at the edge of the known world. It was taught by a former slave, Epictetus, who understood that true freedom has nothing to do with one's external conditions. It was written about by Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, who knew that all the riches in the world are meaningless without a well-ordered mind. They didn't just offer comforting quotes. They provided a robust, practical, and life-altering set of mental models, a new way of thinking. This video is your introduction to that system. We will not merely skim the surface. We will go deep, exploring the fundamental cognitive tools the Stoics used to forge minds of diamond, resilient and clear. So if you are tired of the inner noise, if you feel tossed about by the waves of emotion and circumstance, if you are ready to stop being a passive passenger and start being the calm, deliberate captain of your own mind, then stay. Put away the distractions. Give yourself this time. Because in the silence that follows, we will begin to learn the forgotten art of how to think. Section 1, The Art of Assent, Separating Fact from Fiction. Let us begin with the most fundamental skill, the very bedrock upon which the entire Stoic edifice is built. If you can master this one cognitive move, you will have already taken the greatest step toward inner peace. It is the art of separating events from your judgments about them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who had endured the brutality of slavery, taught a lesson of stunning simplicity and profound power. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Read that again in your mind. It's not the event itself that causes our suffering. It's our interpretation of the event. Our story. Our judgment. Imagine your mind as a two-stage process. First, an event happens in the world. This is the raw data, the objective fact. Your boss sends you a one-sentence email, "We need to talk." A friend doesn't reply to your text message. You get stuck in traffic. These are impressions. They are, in and of themselves, neutral. They are neither good nor bad. They simply are. But then comes the second stage, the one that happens so quickly, so automatically, that we don't even notice it. We apply a judgment. We add a narrative. "We need to talk" becomes, "I'm about to be fired." The unreplied text becomes, "They are angry with me," or "I am unimportant to them." The traffic jam becomes, "My day is ruined," or "This always happens to me, life is unfair." This is the moment where peace is lost. This is the moment where we hand over our tranquility to external events. The Stoics called this act of agreement, this instant acceptance of our initial interpretation, assent. And they argued that the untrained mind gives its assent carelessly, automatically, and disastrously. We don't just experience an event, we immediately fuse it with a story, and then we suffer from the story, believing it to be the event itself. We live in a world not of reality, but of our own self-created narratives. And for most people, these narratives are colored by fear, insecurity, and ego. Let's take the story of a man we'll call Mark. Mark is a dedicated project manager. He spends weeks preparing a crucial presentation for a major client. He works late, perfects every slide, and anticipates every question. The day of the presentation arrives. He delivers it with passion and precision. At the end, the lead client simply nods and says, "Thank you for the presentation. We will review this and get back to you." That is the event. The raw data. Now, watch the untrained mind at work. Mark's inner monologue begins instantly. "They hated it. That nod was dismissive. Get back to you" is corporate speak for no. All that work, for nothing. I've failed. My boss is going to be furious. I'm not cut out for this. Within seconds, a neutral event has been transformed into a catastrophe. Mark's heart rate increases. A knot forms in his stomach. He walks out of the room not with the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, but with the heavy cloak of failure and anxiety. He spends the rest of the day in a fog of self-criticism, replaying every moment, looking for evidence to support his negative narrative. He snaps at his family that evening, his sleep is disturbed, and his peace is shattered. Now, let's rewind and play the scene again, but this time, with a mind trained in the Stoic art of assent. The event is the same. The client says, "Thank you for the presentation. We will review this and get back to you." The Stoic mind pauses. It intercepts the automatic judgment. It performs a cognitive dissection. It asks, "What actually happened here?" The client said they would review the material. That is a fact. What is my interpretation? That they hated it and I have failed. That is a judgment. It is a story. It is not a fact. The trained mind refuses to give immediate assent to that story. It holds it at arm's length and examines it. Is there any other possible interpretation? Perhaps they were impressed and need time to discuss the details internally. Perhaps the lead client is a reserved person by nature. Perhaps they are simply following their standard procedure. Perhaps their reaction has nothing to do with me at all, maybe they received some bad news right before the meeting. Countless other interpretations exist. The initial catastrophic story is just one possibility among many, and likely the least rational one, fueled by Mark's own insecurity. By simply performing this act of separation, by recognizing the difference between the event and the story, the emotional fire is extinguished before it can spread. Mark, the Stoic, walks out of the room with his tranquility intact. He can acknowledge, "I did my best. I prepared thoroughly and delivered the presentation clearly. The outcome is now out of my control. I will focus on what is next." His day is not ruined. His peace is not broken. He remains the master of his inner world. This is not an act of denial or mindless positive thinking. It is an act of supreme mental clarity. It is the practice of seeing the world as it is, not as our fears and egos color it. So, how do we begin to practice this? The Stoics offered a practical exercise, a mental habit we can cultivate. Let's call it the unbiased journal. Every evening, for just 10 minutes, take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down an event from your day that caused you distress or emotional turmoil. But here is the crucial rule: you must describe it like a scientist or a court reporter. Stick only to the objective, observable facts. Instead of, "My partner ignored me," write, "I said good morning, and my partner, who was looking at their phone, did not respond." Instead of, "My presentation was a disaster," write, "During my presentation, 2 people in the audience were looking at their laptops." Instead of, "My friend betrayed me," write, "My friend told another person something I had shared in confidence." This first step forces you to strip away the emotional language and see the raw event in its naked form. It's often much less dramatic than the story you've been telling yourself. Now, on the right side of the page, write down your initial judgment or interpretation. The story you told yourself. "My partner doesn't love me anymore. Everyone thought I was boring. My friend is untrustworthy and I can never forgive them." Finally, below that judgment, consciously practice generating at least 3 alternative interpretations. Be a creative detective. What are other possible reasons for what happened? The partner was absorbed in an urgent work email. The people on their laptops were taking notes related to your presentation. The friend made a mistake in judgment, not a malicious attack. This exercise, practiced consistently, begins to rewire your brain. It creates a space, a pause, between the impression and your assent. It weakens the chains of automatic, emotional reaction. You begin to understand, on a deep, experiential level, that your suffering comes not from the world, but from the untamed fictions of your own mind. This is the foundation. Without it, all other Stoic tools are built on sand. Master this, and you reclaim the keys to your inner citadel. You stop being a leaf in the wind, and you become the mountain, unmoved by the passing storms of circumstance. Section 2, The Dichotomy of Control, the Ultimate Mental Filter. Once you have learned to separate events from your judgments, the next question naturally arises: where should you direct your focus and energy? Life pulls us in 1,000 different directions. We worry about our career, our finances, our health, what others think of us, the state of the world. The list is endless, and the mental energy required to care about it all is finite. Trying to manage everything is a guaranteed recipe for anxiety and exhaustion. This is where the Stoics introduce their most famous, most practical, and perhaps most liberating tool, the dichotomy of control. It is a simple, powerful filter for the mind. Epictetus taught that all the things in the world can be divided into 2 categories: those things that are within our control, and those that are not. That's it. That is the entire framework. Its power lies not in its complexity, but in its ruthless application. So, what falls into the first category? What is truly, completely, 100% up to us? The Stoics were very precise about this. The list is surprisingly short. It includes our judgments and opinions, as we just discussed. Our intentions and motivations. Our voluntary actions, the things we choose to do. Our will to act or not to act. In essence, our inner world. Our choices. Our character. Now, for the second category, what is not within our control? According to the Stoics, this list includes, well, almost everything else. Our bodies, we can influence our health, but we can't control getting sick, aging, or our genetic predispositions. Our possessions and wealth, they can be lost, stolen, or destroyed by forces beyond our command. Our reputation and what others think of us, you can act with integrity, but you cannot control how others perceive or misperceive you. The actions of others. The outcomes of our actions, you can control the effort, but not the result. The past and the future. The weather, the economy, and the universe at large. The Stoic prescription is as simple as it is radical: focus all of your energy on the first category and learn to accept the second with a calm, untroubled indifference. This isn't a suggestion to be passive or apathetic. It is a strategic guide for a well-lived life. It's about ceasing to waste our precious and limited reserves of energy, time, and willpower on battles we can never win. It is the art of concentrating your power where it can actually make a difference. Let's explore this through the story of an athlete, a swimmer we'll call Elena. Elena is training for the most important race of her life. She has a dream of winning a gold medal. The untrained mind, the mind of her competitor, is scattered. It worries constantly about things outside of its control. What if my rival has a better day? What if I get a bad lane draw? What if the crowd's noise distracts me? What if I don't win? My parents will be so disappointed. The media will call me a failure. This mind is already defeated. It is pouring its energy into 100 leaky buckets. Elena, however, has trained her mind with the dichotomy of control. Each day, she sits down and mentally sorts her concerns. Not in my control, who my competitors are. How fast they swim. The temperature of the water. The officials' calls. The expectations of the crowd. The final outcome of the race, the gold medal itself. In my control, my training regimen today. The quality of my diet. Getting enough sleep. My pre-race visualization. The precision of my dive. The power of each stroke. The timing of my turns. My focus on my own lane. My response if something goes wrong, like my goggles filling with water. Elena consciously releases her grip on the things she cannot control. The desire for the gold medal is acknowledged, but then set aside. Worrying about it is useless, it will only create tension in her muscles and doubt in her mind. Instead, she pours every ounce of her being into the things she can control. During the race, her rival in the next lane pulls ahead. The untrained mind would panic. It would see the outcome slipping away and its focus would shatter. Elena, however, remains centered. Her rival's speed is not in her control. The only thing in her control is the next stroke. And the next. And the next. She focuses on her form, her breathing, her rhythm. She swims her own race, a perfect execution of everything that was within her power. Whether she wins the gold or the silver in the end is, from a Stoic perspective, irrelevant to her virtue. She has achieved something far more valuable, a victory over her own mind. She has performed with excellence and maintained her inner peace, regardless of the outcome. This is true success. This mental model is not just for athletes. It is for everyone. Are you anxious about a job interview? Apply the filter. Not in your control, the interviewer's mood, the other candidates, the final decision. In your control, your research on the company, the preparation of your answers, the clothes you wear, the questions you ask, the gratitude you express. Focus entirely on the latter. Pour your energy there. Then walk into that room and perform your part with excellence. Let the outcome be what it may. Are you distressed about a relationship? Apply the filter. Not in your control, your partner's feelings, their actions, their past, their choices. In your control, your own kindness, your honesty, your willingness to listen, your efforts to communicate clearly, your choice to stay or to leave. Love them, but do not make your tranquility dependent on their reciprocation. Your duty is to be the best partner you can be. The rest is not up to you. Some have criticized this concept as being too simplistic. They point out there are things we have some influence over, even if not full control. Modern Stoics have adapted the framework into a trichotomy. Things we have full control over, our choices. Things we have no control over, the sunrise. Things we have partial influence over, the outcome of a tennis match. The advice here is to internalize your goals. Instead of setting your goal as winning the match, which is partially outside your control, set it as playing to the best of my ability. Your goal is to focus on your actions, your strategy, your effort, the components you control. The outcome then becomes a preferred, but not essential, byproduct. To put this into practice, try this exercise, the circle of control. Take a large sheet of paper and draw a small circle in the center. Inside this circle, write down all the things in your life and your current worries that are completely within your control. Your attitude. Your effort on a project today. Your choice to exercise. Your decision to be kind to the cashier. Now, outside of that circle, write down everything else that is currently consuming your mental energy but is ultimately outside of your full control. A coworker's opinion. The stock market. Whether your ex will text you back. A looming deadline set by someone else. Look at the paper. Where is your attention currently focused? For most of us, it's scattered all over the page, mostly in the outer region. Now, make a conscious decision. For the next 24 hours, you will allow your mind to dwell only on the items inside the small, central circle. When a worry from the outside arises, acknowledge it, label it as, not in my control, and gently guide your attention back to the inner circle. This is not easy. It takes constant, vigilant practice. But the result is a profound sense of liberation. You stop being a slave to 1,000 external variables. You become the calm, focused, and effective director of your own mind. You are no longer trying to control the uncontrollable sea, you are mastering the rudder of your own ship. Section 3, Premeditatio Malorum, Fortifying the Mind by Rehearsing Adversity. The untrained mind lives in a fragile state of hope. It wishes for the best, expects things to go smoothly, and is therefore shattered by the slightest disruption. A delayed flight, a sudden illness, a critical comment, these are not just inconveniences, they are personal affronts, shocking deviations from the way things should have been. This mindset guarantees a life of frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. The Stoics, living in a world far more brutal and unpredictable than our own, knew that hope is a poor strategy. They opted for a more robust and paradoxical approach to mental preparation, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism. It is not about morbidly dwelling on the negative. It is a powerful psychological tool, a form of mental inoculation. Just as a vaccine introduces a weakened form of a virus to the body to build immunity, premeditating on future troubles introduces a simulated version of adversity to the mind, building resilience before the real crisis strikes. The philosopher Seneca, in his letters to his friend Lucilius, frequently prescribed this practice. He would say, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared?" He wasn't just talking about playing at poverty. He was talking about a full cognitive and emotional rehearsal. By imagining the worst, poverty, exile, illness, the loss of a loved one, and thinking through it in detail, you strip it of its greatest weapon, the element of surprise and fear of the unknown. When you are shocked by an event, you react emotionally. When you have anticipated it, you can respond strategically. Let's consider a modern entrepreneur, Sarah, who is about to launch a new tech startup. She has poured her life savings into it. The untrained entrepreneur engages in wishful thinking. This is going to be a huge success. We'll get millions of users. Investors will be lining up. She is emotionally invested in a single, positive outcome. If the launch falters, if the user numbers are low, her psychological world will collapse. She will feel panic, despair, and a sense of personal failure. Sarah, a practitioner of premeditatio malorum, takes a different approach. Weeks before the launch, she sits down with her team for a pre-mortem. Instead of envisioning success, they imagine the opposite. Let's assume it's 6 months from now, and the startup has failed completely. What went wrong? The team then works backward to identify all the potential causes of this failure. The server crashed. A competitor launched a similar product. The marketing message was unclear. A key employee quit. They list every conceivable disaster. This process does two things. First, it is intensely practical. By identifying potential points of failure in advance, Sarah can now create contingency plans. She can bolster the servers, refine the marketing, and ensure her team is motivated. She is proactively turning potential disasters into manageable risks. Second, and more importantly from a Stoic perspective, it is a psychological rehearsal. Sarah has already lived through the failure in her mind. She has confronted the fear of losing her savings. She has thought about what she would do next. She has realized that while failure would be painful, it would not be the end of her life. She would learn from it, she would recover, she would start again. Now, when launch day arrives, her mind is calm. She is prepared not just for success, but for any eventuality. If a server does crash, she doesn't panic, she executes the contingency plan. If user numbers are low, she doesn't despair, she begins the process of analyzing the data, a process she has already considered. She has separated her actions, which she controls, from the outcome, which she doesn't, and has fortified her mind against the shock of disappointment. She has traded fragile hope for robust resilience. This is a practice you can apply to any area of your life. Going on a trip? Don't just imagine the perfect vacation. Meditate for a few minutes on what could go wrong. The flight is cancelled. The luggage is lost. You get sick. What would you do? By thinking through the logistics, having backup numbers, travel insurance, digital copies of your passport, you reduce the potential for panic. You have a plan. Giving an important speech? Don't just rehearse the perfect delivery. Imagine the worst. Your mind goes blank. The projector fails. Someone asks a hostile question. Rehearse your recovery. How would you handle it? You might have a glass of water to pause, have your notes on paper as a backup, and prepare a calm, respectful response to a difficult question. You turn fear of the unknown into a manageable script. Reflecting on your relationships? This is the most challenging, but also the most profound application. The Stoics would meditate on the loss of their loved ones. Not to be morbid, but to cultivate gratitude. When you consciously remember that your time with your spouse, your child, your friend is finite and can end at any moment, you stop taking them for granted. You treat every interaction as precious. The practice of imagining loss doesn't make you callous, it makes you more present, more loving, and more appreciative of the here and now. It is the ultimate antidote to complacency. Here is a simple, guided exercise to begin this practice. Set aside 15 quiet minutes. Choose a future event, pick something you are anxious or hopeful about. An upcoming project, a difficult conversation, a financial goal. Visualize negative outcomes, let go of your hopes for a moment. Instead, visualize things going poorly. Don't be vague. Be specific. What exactly happens? How does it feel? Allow yourself to experience the simulated disappointment, frustration, or fear. Plan for prevention and endurance. Ask yourself 2 questions. First, what can I do now to prevent this negative outcome or lessen its impact? This is the strategic part. Second, if the worst does happen, how will I endure it? What are my inner resources? What is the first step I would take to recover? Remind yourself that you have survived every bad day of your life so far. You are more resilient than you think. Return to the present with gratitude. After contemplating potential loss or failure, bring your mind back to the present moment. Notice that the worst has not happened. Your project is still on track. Your loved one is still here. This contrast creates a powerful sense of relief and gratitude. You appreciate what you have more deeply precisely because you have contemplated its absence. Premeditatio malorum is the Stoic secret to turning fear into prudence, anxiety into action, and complacency into gratitude. It is the art of thinking through the darkness to find an unshakable inner light. Section 4, The View from Above, Expanding Perspective to Dissolve the Ego. We spend most of our lives zoomed in. Our attention is locked onto a tiny, egocentric screen displaying our immediate worries, our personal ambitions, our minor grievances. A thoughtless comment from a coworker can ruin our day. Being cut off in traffic can incite a surge of rage. The perceived social slights on social media can feel like matters of life and death. In this hyper-focused state, our problems seem enormous, our ego feels fragile and constantly under attack, and our sense of perspective is completely lost. The Stoics offered a powerful antidote to this mental myopia, a cognitive exercise known as the view from above or catoscope. It is a practice of radical perspective shifting, a guided meditation designed to pull your consciousness up and away from the small theater of your personal drama and show you your place in the vastness of the cosmos. This idea, which has roots in Plato, was a favorite of Marcus Aurelius. Alone in his tent on the cold frontiers of the Roman Empire, surrounded by war and plague, he would practice this mental flight to maintain his sanity and perspective. He wrote in his meditations, "You can strip away many unnecessary troubles which have their source in your own judgment. And you will make for yourself a vast space by embracing the whole universe in your thoughts, and by contemplating the eternity of time." Embracing the whole universe in your thoughts. What does this mean in practice? It is a visualization, an exercise in scale. Let us try it together now. Begin where you are. In your chair, in your room. Picture the details around you, the texture of the desk, the light from the window, the sounds in the air. Now, let your mind's eye begin to float upward. See the roof of your building. See the street you live on, the cars moving like tiny insects. See your entire neighborhood, the parks, the schools, the tapestry of countless other lives intersecting with yours, each with their own dramas, their own worries, their own joys. Float higher still. See your entire city spread out below you like a glowing map. The towering skyscrapers, the winding rivers, the sprawling suburbs. All the human activity, the millions of people rushing, loving, arguing, striving, all of it a single, pulsing organism. Keep rising. See your country, a patch of color on the globe. See the mountain ranges like wrinkles on a vast surface, the great plains, the shimmering coastlines. See the borders, those imaginary lines we invest with so much meaning, begin to fade into insignificance from this height. Now, pull back further and see our entire planet, hanging in the blackness of space. A stunning, fragile marble of blue, white, and green. Every person you have ever known, every historical figure you have ever read about, every war ever fought, every piece of art ever created, all of it, contained on this one, single sphere. That argument you had yesterday? That worry about next week's deadline? Where is it now from this vantage point? It has vanished, absorbed into the whole. But don't stop there. Drift further away. See the moon, our silent companion. See the sun, a terrifyingly beautiful star, holding us in its gravitational embrace. See the other planets of our solar system, each on its own lonely orbit. Go further. Pull back until our entire solar system is just a speck of light among 100 billion other specks of light. You are now looking at our galaxy, the Milky Way. An immense, swirling spiral of stars, gas, and dust, so vast that light takes 100,000 years to cross it. And within this cosmic metropolis, our sun is just one unremarkable star in a forgotten suburban neighborhood. And even this is not the end. Rise further, until our galaxy itself becomes just one point of light in a cosmic web containing billions of other galaxies, each with billions of its own stars. You are now looking at the observable universe. You are taking the view from above. Now, from this unimaginable vantage point, bring your mind back. Travel through the galaxies, past the stars, back to our tiny solar system, to our blue marble of a planet, to your continent, your city, your room. And ask yourself, how important, in the grand scheme of things, is the insult you received today? How world-shattering is the mistake you made? How permanent is the anxiety you feel? The purpose of this exercise is not to make you feel insignificant in a nihilistic way. The purpose is twofold. First, it dissolves the ego. It takes your personal problems, which feel so large and all-consuming from up close, and places them in their true context. It shows you that your personal drama is a microscopic event in a cosmic ocean. This doesn't invalidate your feelings, but it frees you from being crushed by them. The rage you feel in a traffic jam becomes absurd. The social anxiety you feel at a party becomes trivial. The view from above is the ultimate cure for self-importance. Second, it fosters a sense of connection, or what the Stoics called sympathia. From this cosmic perspective, you see that we are all part of the same whole. We are all made of the same stardust, living on the same fragile planet, subject to the same universal laws. The person who insults you, the rival you compete against, they are part of the same system as you. This perspective encourages empathy, compassion, and a sense of shared humanity. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." Practicing the view from above is a way to train your mind to access perspective on command. You don't need to do the full cosmic journey every time. Sometimes, just zooming out to the level of your city is enough. When you're stuck in your own head, worrying about what others think, take the view from above. See the 7 billion other people on the planet, each absorbed in their own lives, and realize how little time they actually spend thinking about you. When you are clinging to a possession or a certain status, take the view from above. Contemplate the vastness of geologic time, the rise and fall of empires, and see the fleeting, temporary nature of all material things. When you are grieving or facing your own mortality, take the view from above. See yourself as part of a natural, eternal process of composition and decomposition, a temporary arrangement of atoms that will soon be rearranged back into the universe. This mental tool is your escape hatch from the prison of the ego. It is a reminder that the world does not revolve around you, and in that realization lies a profound and wonderful freedom. Section 5, Reasoning from First Principles, Deconstructing Reality to Find the Truth. We have explored how to manage our judgments, filter our focus, and expand our perspective. Now we arrive at a final, more advanced Stoic thinking tool. It is the practice of deconstruction, of breaking things down to their fundamental truths to see past the smoke and mirrors of social convention, desire, and fear. This is the art of reasoning from first principles. A first principle is a foundational truth, a basic axiom that cannot be deduced from any other proposition. It's the raw material of reality. The untrained mind rarely deals with first principles. It operates on the level of labels, inherited beliefs, and second-hand opinions. It sees a luxury car, an important CEO, a terrifying medical diagnosis, or an unbearable insult. These are all complex packages of information, heavily layered with social meaning, emotional weight, and personal bias. The Stoic thinker, like a physicist breaking down matter into atoms, learns to mentally disassemble these packages. They strip away the labels and the hype to see the thing as it truly is. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this technique. As the emperor of Rome, he was surrounded by luxury, power, and flattery, things that easily corrupt the mind. To protect his soul, he constantly practiced this deconstructive analysis. In his meditations, he gives us a startling example. When faced with a lavish feast, he wouldn't see fine cuisine. He would deconstruct it. This roast meat is the dead body of a pig. This fine wine is just fermented grape juice. This purple robe is sheep's wool dyed with the blood of a shellfish. This isn't cynicism. This is a radical act of objectivity. By breaking the fancy meal down to its first principles, he strips it of its power to tempt him into gluttony and desire. He sees it for what it is, not for the story that society has wrapped around it. The hype evaporates, and he is left with a simple, manageable reality. We can apply this powerful mental technique to countless modern anxieties and desires. Consider the obsession with fame and social media status. The untrained mind sees a celebrity with millions of followers and feels envy, a desire for that recognition. It sees a critical comment online and feels the sting of public humiliation. The mind reasoning from first principles deconstructs this. What is fame? It is the chatter of other people's tongues. It is a collection of sounds and opinions existing in minds that are not your own, minds that are fickle, often irrational, and will forget you tomorrow. What is a like on a post? It is an electrical impulse causing pixels to change color on a screen. When you break it down this way, the desperate need for external validation begins to seem absurd. You can focus instead on what is real, the quality of your work and the integrity of your character. Consider the fear of public speaking. The untrained mind conjures a terrifying image, a faceless crowd, judging eyes, the potential for catastrophic failure. The Stoic mind deconstructs it. What is a crowd? A collection of individual human beings, each with their own insecurities and problems. What is speaking? The vibration of vocal cords creating sound waves that travel through the air. What is failure? The possibility that some of the people in the room will not agree with your interpretation of things. By breaking the event down into these neutral components, the emotional charge is dramatically reduced. The monster of fear is revealed to be a collection of much smaller, manageable parts. This method is perhaps most powerful when applied to the greatest fear of all, death. We don't think of death in terms of first principles. We think of it through a thick fog of cultural taboo, horror stories, and existential dread. The Stoic deconstructs it. What is death? It is the cessation of biological and conscious processes. It is the disassembly of a complex system of atoms back into their constituent parts, which will then be recycled to form new things, a plant, a cloud, another star. It is a natural, universal, and inevitable process. Marcus Aurelius would call it a mystery of nature. By seeing it this way, not as a terrifying monster, but as a natural transformation, we can approach it not with panic, but with a sense of acceptance and even curiosity. Reasoning from first principles is the ultimate tool for clear thinking. It is a mental solvent that dissolves fear, desire, and social pressure, leaving only the unvarnished truth. How to practice it? Identify a concept, pick something that causes you strong emotion, fear, desire, anger, or envy. It could be a person's job title, a luxury item you crave, a social event that makes you anxious, or a task you are procrastinating on. Strip the labels, verbally or in writing, describe the thing without using any of the common, emotionally loaded labels. Avoid words like important, scary, beautiful, or prestigious. Break it down, analyze its physical components. What is it made of? What are its constituent parts? If it's an event, what is the sequence of neutral actions that will take place? State the objective reality, formulate a simple, objective, almost boring description of the thing based on your deconstruction. Example, a promotion to vice president. Deconstruction, it's a new title. It involves different tasks. It comes with a larger number assigned to my bank account. It means other people will use a different sound when referring to me. Objective reality, a change in my daily responsibilities and compensation. This isn't to say the promotion is meaningless, but by deconstructing it, you separate the reality, different work, more money, from the ego-driven hype, I am now an important person. This allows you to pursue your goals with calm ambition, not desperate neediness. This is the final stage of Stoic mental training. It is the ability to see the world not through the distorted lens of your own ego and culture, but with the clear eyes of a philosopher, a scientist of the human condition. It is the ultimate brain hack, not adding more information, but subtracting the noise to see the truth that was there all along. Conclusion, the architect of your inner world. We began this journey with a question: has anyone ever taught you how to think? For most of us, the answer was no. We were left to navigate the complexities of life with an untrained mind, reacting to the world like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the unpredictable waves of events and emotions. But the Stoics show us there is another way. They offer us the manual we were never given. They teach us that thinking is not something that just happens to us, it is a skill, an art, a discipline that can be cultivated. They hand us the tools to become the deliberate architects of our own inner world. We have explored 5 of their most powerful mental models. First, the art of ascent, which teaches us to create a vital pause between an event and our judgment of it, reminding us that we suffer not from things, but from the stories we tell ourselves about them. Second, the dichotomy of control, a potent mental filter that directs our energy away from the infinite things we cannot control and concentrates it on the few, vital things we can, our choices, our actions, our character. Third, premeditatio malorum, the strategic premeditation of adversity. A paradoxical practice that fortifies the mind against shock and transforms fragile hope into robust resilience, fear into preparation, and complacency into gratitude. Fourth, the view from above, a profound exercise in perspective that dissolves the ego, shrinks our worldly problems to their true cosmic scale, and fosters a deep sense of connection to the whole of humanity. And finally, reasoning from first principles, the art of deconstructing reality to see past the hype, fear, and desire, allowing us to engage with the world based on objective truth, not social fiction. These are not just interesting intellectual concepts. They are a coherent, interconnected operating system for the mind. They are practical tools to be sharpened through daily use. Living a stoic life doesn't mean being emotionless or passive. It means being the calm center in the storm. It means choosing your response instead of being enslaved by your reaction. It means trading anxiety for agency. The world will always be a place of chaos and uncertainty. People will be unpredictable. Fortune will be fickle. These things you cannot change. But you can change how you think about them. You can forge an inner citadel so well constructed that no external turmoil can breach its walls. Your mind is your greatest asset. It is the source of your suffering, yes, but it is also the source of your strength, your peace, and your freedom. For too long, you have let it run wild. For too long, you have been a stranger in your own head. No more. The tools are now in your hands. The path is clear. The work begins now. Don't just learn what the Stoics thought. Learn how they thought. Pick one of these methods, just one, and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. When you feel anger, practice dissecting the event from your judgment. When you feel anxious, apply the filter of control. When you feel overwhelmed, take the view from above. Be patient with yourself. This is the work of a lifetime. But it is the most important work you will ever do. You are not just learning to think, you are learning to live. To live with wisdom, with purpose, and with a profound and unshakable peace. You are learning to be free. If this journey has resonated with you, if it has sparked a desire to take command of your inner world, let us know in the comments. Which of these thinking tools do you need most in your life right now? And if you are ready to continue walking this path of inner mastery, subscribe to BAudio. We are here to explore this timeless wisdom together, step by step, thought by thought. The road ahead is long, but you do not have to walk it alone.